Hello, and welcome to Ed Talk, where we talk about all things financial, and we got some financial stuff for you today. You know, I always pride myself in having the brightest, the smartest people on my show, and I did not fail you all today. We have a real estate guru on the line today, Miss Donna Rogers. How you doing, Donna?
I'm well, Ed. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Man, I am so happy that you came on the show.
Happy to be here.
Man, Donna is great. Now, let me tell you about Donna. So, first of all, I just talked to Donna yesterday, and I just want to first say that I just felt the passion you have for financial education,
hmm
and it just kind of just spilled out onto the floor how much passion you have about financial education, about teens, and kind of going through the book and just skimming through it. I mean, you got some nuggets, and I want you to give some of those nuggets. We're not going to tell them about your whole book, okay? But we just because we want them to buy it. We want to buy it. We want to give them information. But you have a lot of experience, and you just sent me this little paragraph. Most of the guests sent me like 2 pages, and you were very modest. So, but we're gonna tell the audience what you do. So, Donna Rogers has a passion to empower others through education and real estate. She is an adjunct business professor and licensed real estate instructor. As the owner of Our Legacy Realty LLC, Donna has over 15 years of experience in real estate in various aspects as a licensed managing broker, investor, instructor, property manager, and project manager. She volunteers with different organizations and founded House of, is it Primo or Prima?
Prima Donnas.
Prima. Oh, I love it. I love it. The House of Prima Donna, a nonprofit that provides housing resources and support for young ladies facing homelessness. She also founded the John Rogers Real Estate Foundation alongside her siblings to increase the number of minorities in the real estate industry through education and funding. Whew, I'm tired. I'm just tired just reading all the stuff that you do. I just want to know how do you have time to, first of all, I want to say thank you again for coming, but I want to say, how do you have time to do all this stuff, Donna?
Passion drives you. Passion drives you. It doesn't feel like work. It just feels like second nature because it's a part of your purpose. So you make time because it's purpose for you. So,
Man.
Yeah.
So I want to, we got a lot of things to talk about today, but I want to talk. Tell me who you are. Just tell me about Donna, and how you started. How you got to be where you are right now. Starting from when you were younger.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for having me this evening, and welcome everyone for joining us on this evening as well. So, Ed, I am a woman who believes in living on purpose, right? I'm a woman of God, and if it's not right with my spirit and I don't have peace with it, I don't flow with it. And so I am intentional about living on purpose to be impactful. And with that, as a child, I was exposed to real estate at a very early age. My very, very first job was working for John P. Rogers, who was my father, one of his multi-units. Right with my spirit, and I don't have peace.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So when I got to a certain age, when I was old enough, but still as a teen, I was able to work for him in the capacity of a painter. right? And so it wasn't that I like painting, but I like money. And so I tell a story in the book that I wrote about, I used to play with Monopoly money. I used to think it was real. And to me, God gives you little nuggets, just little glimpses of what your life purpose is, right? So I didn't know in playing with the board game Monopoly, which is about real estate, was a clue in my real life that I will be making real money through real estate. And so when I became old enough, I was paying apartments with my dad. And it didn't matter to me when I got to college, the different majors that I would kind of go through as I was figuring things out. One thing that was certain, I was going to be a real estate investor. That was certain because of what I saw. Because of what I was exposed to and what I saw, it changed and impacted the trajectory of my life. And so it's just been hitting the ground running just from there, just because of what I saw and what I was exposed to through my parents who were real estate investors first.
Now, also, you actually leave one thing out. When you have parents that are teachers. Now, I saw your mother was a teacher in a CPS.
She is a current teacher.
She's a current teacher. Okay.
I ain't gonna say how much longer, but she's a current teacher with the CPS system. So yes, and I have an uncle, Stephen Rogers. He is a well-known business professor. He was at Harvard University teaching an entrepreneurship program, Northwestern University, for years teaching finance. So I am surrounded, and I come from a bloodline of entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and educators.
So how big of a factor did all those, because most of our kids don't have that, right? So exactly. How much of that was a factor? And then we're going to get into this book. How much of this was a factor in you becoming who you are right now?
It was a very, very big factor. Again, I'm a woman of God, so that's the first factor. Right. And with that, what I was exposed to and what I saw put something in me. It ignited something in me. It gave me a passion. It gave me a purpose. And I didn't really know off top. You kind of dibble and dabble in different things just to see if it'll be a fit. But again, I couldn't shake the investment part. I knew regardless of what I would do, I was going to have that side money when investing in real estate, right? Right. And so I didn't grow up saying I was going to be a teacher or anything like that. I tried criminal justice. I tried computer science. But I always knew on the side I was going to invest in real estate to have multiple streams of income, because my dad was not doing that full time. He was a juvenile supervisor, probation officer down there. He worked in the court systems for years in criminal justice. So this is what he did on the side. So I understood it as being multiple streams of income and what it can do for you when you invest in real estate. So it made all the difference in the world because of what I saw.
So when I saw the book, of course you're my friend on Facebook. So when I saw that book come across, I'm like, I was in my phone like, I gotta get you on the show, because I have a strong passion for children and financial literacy. I think part of the gap between Black ownership, Black homeownership, and the rest of the country is because we don't have books like this, and we don't have parents who actually can sit down with our kids to show them that it's not just you go to school, you get a job, and that's it. That's all that we kind of see, because right. Both our parents work hard, but we don't see anything else actually accept that. So actually, when I saw your book, I said, okay, we need to talk about this book. So let's go into this. Who got the keys? Building generational wealth through real estate, and it's for teens. But honestly, I think adults need to read it also. So, but go ahead, Donna.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is for teens. It is for teens. And it is because something that you alluded to earlier, because home ownership is a key to building wealth, right? And so when I initially wrote this book, it was because I understand that not everyone is exposed or have that luxury of being exposed at an early age to get a head start to build wealth with real estate, right? When I got in my early 20s, and I would wonder, hey, well, why my friends don't have properties? Because they wasn't exposed. You know, you don't know what you don't know, right? And most people think, hey, that's something you do when you get married, you have kids, you have the house of the picket fence, right? So you don't hear about that. And when you do hear about it, you done already built up all this debt. You know, your credit is bogus. You know, I started my college journey at Spelman, and I remember getting my first credit card while I was in high school, right? And so I started the book because I understood that there is much impact to be made when people are exposed at an early age. But when I started looking at the history of real estate, and I started looking at it on a racial platform, I started noticing a significant difference in Black home ownership versus ownership amongst other races and ethnicities. And so that said to me, no, I have to be intentional that this is not just for teens, but this is for Black teens. This is a part of me being a part of the puzzle for the bigger solution to increase the rate of Black home ownership, which is not that much higher than what it was back in 1968, right?
Right.
And so who got the keys is a question for us to say, who has the keys when it comes to the different races, right? Who has the keys when it comes to the difference between mom, dad, and this big old gap between the next generation? It is to spark a conversation to ask in regards to home ownership. Who has the keys? Well, I know for me, Ed, my parents had the keys and they gave me the keys. So now it's my job to pass on the keys to as many young Black people as possible so they can have the keys as well.
So let's kind of go into, let's kind of take a couple of nuggets out of the book. Okay. Actually, no, what? No, let's stop here. Let's start with that rate of Black homeownership. That is a big deal.
Very much so.
The fact that the Black homeownership rate is less than it was in 1968 is just horrible. Could you kind of help me kind of why do you think that?
For me, I think that is, I can only say it from my experience, and my experience around my circle is a lack of exposure and a lack of education about the importance of home ownership, in addition to the barriers that were put in place with the powers that may be, right? Mm-hmm. When resources were put in place around the Great Depression and things like that, and after the World War II, when resources were put in place to restore and encourage home ownership, those same resources were not given to the Black community, right? And even when we think about slavery, when we had free contract work and we were free property managers and all those different things. And so there's reasons why, because of systemic racism. But in regards to our part that we can do to empower our own, it's a lack of exposure and a lack of education, right? And so even parents, I tell them when I teach my classes, bring your young people. When you are getting prepared, before you even talk about bringing that young person to go house shopping, because I know a lot of parents that may leave their young ones behind because they're in their way. But it will make a world of difference if you involve them in your home buying process. But involve them before house shopping. Involve them when you're getting the credit straight. Involve them when you're saving the money and tell them why you're doing what you're doing. So it can be embedded in their mindset that this is something important and this is what you do to get ready, right? So you can be ready when the opportunity becomes for home ownership. And so you have some governmental and political issues and systemic racism that affected us. Absolutely. But when it comes to our responsibility and our part, that is a gap when it comes to exposure, when it comes to education. I have had so many people say they have stumbled or had a conversation with our counterparts with other ethnicities and races, and they say, oh, I was taught that in high school. Oh, my parents taught me that at a young age. That doesn't really happen in our community. And so at the very least, we have a responsibility and duty to be intentional about exposing and educating our own and allowing it to be taken from there.
So John Scott, we have a statement on the chat room. He actually he gave a great point. Exposure is very important, but the financing has to be accessible in the community as well. What are your thoughts on the financing portion of it?
I think that's a good comment, but I just want to change the but to and.
Okay.
Because exposure is very important. And the financial, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Because even for me, and even in transparency, we don't want to just teach our own to get property. We want to teach them to maintain it, right? And so we have it, you can get a property at 580. That's not ideal. It's a good opportunity, but that's not ideal because you don't want those high interest rates and fees that are already tagged on because you in certain communities and the impact of redlining, right? But financial literacy will help position you to get the best rate and the best fee interest rates and the best fees, but it would also help you maintain that property as well. I lost all of I lost everything with a season in my life. I was exposed to real estate and different things like that, but I wasn't taught financial literacy like that. So I was taught the importance of wealth building, but I was not taught financial literacy. No dig at my people, right? Because they did me well, but I just didn't know. And so even though I had this property, I was just still hanging out and kicking it like it was no tomorrow, right? Because I had all this extra money. Well, life caught up with me. Life circumstances caught up with me where I didn't have enough in my savings when I should have had. I had more than enough to be able to save. And so I understand his point about the financial literacy. They are like husbands and wives. When you are trying to build wealth, you need to understand financial literacy, I think, before you understand home ownership, before you get into business, which I think all of them are a part of one family. But we don't want you to just get it. We want you to keep it. And financial literacy is the key to helping you maintain that wealth so you can pass it on to the next generation. So great point.
That's a great point. So let's kind of take if you don't mind, I want to take like a very, very small nugget from each chapter, if that's okay with you. I'm gonna take a very, very small nugget.
Very small.
I'm talking about look. Look how small that is.
Okay, I think it's about the size of a mustard seed. Okay, we can work with that.
Right. So we work with that, and then I'm also going to give. I'm gonna buy several books myself, and I'm gonna give them away as well. So,
yes. But we have to get their address to ship them out because I just shipped them out to all the pre-orders. So as long as we catch the address, we can mail those out to the giveaways. Right. Today.
No, I'll get the books for you. You sign them, and I will get them mailed out for you. So you don't have to worry about that.
Absolutely. All right. Sounds good.
Is that cool?
Absolutely. Cool. That's amazing.
Cool. So let's talk about chapter 1.
All right. So chapter 1 is about keeping it real about real estate and wealth building.
Okay.
And so it's just teaching you about the basics of real estate, the different types of real estate, residential, commercial, industrial, all of those different types. It bullet points it. It as well provides visuals for young people to understand when I'm looking at this type of property. What is that? Is that commercial? Is that residential? We talk about wealth and why it is important, what wealth is, having that security, but knowing how to put your needs before your wants. We talk about that in the book when we talk about keeping it real in regards to building wealth and real estate. And that's so very important, Ed, because we are in a season and time like never before where people post the flashy cars and the beaches and the airplanes, right? It's so easy for me to just put a picture in front of something like that and pretend like I'm flossing, right? And some people may be flossing. But from my experience, the millionaires that I know, that ain't how they get down.
Right.
They real low key. Now, outside of being a celebrity, of course, because that's a part of what you do, but they not flashy like that. They're real low key, and so it influences or tell a story to young people that's not necessarily reality, because that's a lot of wants. And so the book talks about training yourself at an early age to put your needs first and putting yourself in position of saving so you can have your wants, so you can get that car, so you can get that bag, so you can go on that trip and have some left over because you're still securing several bags to build wealth first. And so that's what the first chapter is about, is just laying out the basics. I love my intro, which we'll talk about on the virtual launch this Thursday at 7 p.m. But that's what the first chapter is about.
Okay. Whew, that's a lot now for the first chapter. I can't wait to read the whole thing page by page. So let's go to chapter. Let's go to chapter 2.
Chapter 2 is race and real estate.
Uh-oh.
Yes, we gotta go there.
Hold on. Let me sit up.
Race and real estate. Yes,
let me
it
sit
does.
up. Let me pick my collar. Let me clutch my pearls. I know somebody's home clutching their pearls when you start talking about those kind of things. So go ahead, Donna. Go ahead.
It talks about race and real estate. So one of the things when I open up my book, not to give too much away, is we talk about being on the other side of the door, right? And so the first chapter talks about that. You outside the door, you knocking in, the difference that it makes when you have a key. So when we get to chapter 2, I tell the reader, imagine you're at another door and you see the person sees you through that peephole and they can hear you knocking, but they refuse to open that door simply because of one reason, and that's race. And so in that book, we talk about Black home ownership matters. We talk about slavery. We talk about 40 acres and a mule. We talk about redlining. We talk about the solutions today and what organizations like the NAACP and the NARAD, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, are doing. We talk about the impact of redlining still today when we think about places like Chicago and so much division and segregation, where you can see where majority of Blacks live versus whites and what their community looks like versus the other, and the school. All of those different things. We talk about it so I could say to my young people, this is why Black home ownership matters. We have the lowest rate of home ownership. We have the lowest rate of wealth. We have the lowest rate of home ownership before the age of 35. That's a problem. That's why it matters. And that's why this book has been written, so it could be a solution to change and make an impact in our community. So that's chapter 2.
Chapter 2. So we're gonna take a break right here to say we have Donna Rogers. She's the author of Who Got the Keys, and we're on IntellectualRadio.com and Facebook Live. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have a little raffle. I guess it's not a raffle. The first person who calls in to ask Donna a question about her book will actually receive a signed copy, correct, Donna? A signed copy of Who Got the Keys. So the numbers at the bottom of the screen, it's 708-223-8953. And that's 708-223-8953. Okay. So I'm going to move along to this question, Donna. How important is it to expose kids at a young age? And what's the age that you think is a better age than others? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think any age is too early. I'll say it like this: from my experience, I was exposed the whole way through, right? But it didn't become obvious to me what was going on until around my teen stage, because I was making money that way. So you're gonna pay even more attention when it's putting money in your pocket, right?
But Donna, hold on. We got this winner on the line that just called in. We don't play on the air talk show. We don't play on the air talk show, okay? Oh, sorry. I actually waited too long. I'm sorry, they'll call back. But go ahead. So you were talking about the kids and the age,
Yes. I don't think it's a particular age, and I just know for me, when I became a teen and I worked it as a job, it was my first job, that it became more apparent to me and obvious what's going on here, right? I kind of knew of it. It was in the back of my head, but it made a difference when I was involved in it with my parents. And that was around my teenage. And I may have started around 11 or 12, but young teen, until I was able to get to the age of 15 and 16, but I was exposed. However, my parents owned property all my life, right? So when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, they still were homeowners and investors, but it just didn't catch me at that age. but someone else very well may do so. And there are a lot of books for kids, right? And there are a lot of real estate books for adults, and they are all needed. They are all needed. But I seen a niche and I seen a gap. There's a gap. When we get to this teenage level and stage, I didn't see or find anything that was or that spoke to that audience. And so I do want to say I have my 14-year-old niece. I have my niece, and she was involved in this process with me, right? So I bounced everything off of her, every picture, every design, everything that I wrote. Is this too much, too little? To make sure that this information was on a level in which they can understand it and comprehend it. But adults can read it as well. It's very basic. It's very engaging. And so it's for all ages. But in regards to what age you should be exposed, at whatever age is possible for you to be exposed will make a difference. It's never too late to start, and it's never too early to get started.
So, hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, this is Ernest. I'm calling from the South Side.
Okay, South Side.
Ernest from the South Side.
Ernest from the South Side. First, I want to see if you had a question or a statement for Donna first.
I do. First of all, let me say thank you all for having this conversation. I just happened to catch the post that Wanda had put up, and I'm really grateful for you guys having this kind of conversation. I know myself, this is a weakness for me. I've done real estate, but the financial literacy piece, I'm really waning in. So my question is, though, Donna, you bring up a lot of good points about, slavery and racism and the systematic forces that have kept Black folks from getting through the door. But my question is, what do you say to people who deny that those forces were really the factors that keep us from moving forward? Because I get that a lot. I get that a resistance from, a lot of so-called Black folks and a lot of so-called white people. Well, there are other people that make it, so why can't everyone make it? So that's my question to you today.
Some people get it and some people will not. You could throw information out there. You could throw the fish out there. You could teach people to do things. Some people get it and some people don't. That's okay. As long as I did my part with getting that information out there. Some people don't get it when you want them to get it, right? Some people don't understand it when you want them to understand it or agree with what you're saying. I'm going to be honest, even in my own life with understanding the significance of Black home ownership. I was a part of groups that advocated for Black home ownership, but it still was something that was real subtle. I was laxy-daisy about it. It was not until I wrote this book that I started looking at the statistics that I was taken aback, that I was going, wow, okay, wait a minute. This is some real heavy and deep stuff. So I'm saying it from my own experience, Ernest, that people have different seasons in their lives for different reasons that line up with their purpose, where they do get it, where you do have that aha moment, as Oprah would say, where you do get woke, you are awakened, right? And so I would say, as far as what do? You do nothing. You just sit back, relax, and wait, because I'm not going to engage in an argument with you because we don't agree. I'm going to put my opinion out there, but I'm going to stay focused on my purpose to pass it on to the next person that may catch it right away. But again, different people get it at different seasons and stages in their life. If you would have had me write this book 2-3 months ago, 2-3 years ago, now it took me a year and a half to get it going. But if this was even 2 full years ago, I wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't even be in this same mentality as far as the importance of Black home ownership on the level that I'm passionate about it now. So be patient with other people, give them that information, fall back and move on to the next. And if it's meant for them to catch it, when they catch it, and if they catch it, they'll come along and say, hey, I understand what you're saying now. The same way I had to go back to certain people and say, I get it. I understand it now. And so even in real estate, to get a license, they have a whole, not a whole section. They have a decent section about fair housing. And so you learn it to pass that exam, right? Just like in school, you just learn certain things to pass that exam. Some things stick with you, some things don't. This was a season in my life for it to stick with me. So for that same individual that you may be speaking with, Ernest, they may get it in another season of their life, and it's okay. It's okay.
You got it? How was that?
Gotcha.
So, Ernest, do me a favor. Text my cell phone with your name and number, and we're gonna get that book out to you. I'm gonna give you a call after the show and get your address and everything. You can text me at 312 420
Okay.
4935, and I'll give you a call, and we will get that book out to you. Thank you for
All
calling.
right. Thank you.
Thanks, Ernest.
Thank you all. Enjoy your conversation. Okay.
I'm telling you, people call in with some good questions, and I just love your answers. And so I want to move on, and we're going to get back to the book. But you actually brought up a good question about statement about real estate agents that are Black, and I saw on your site we had less than 10% of real estate agents in the United States are Black. Now let's kind of talk about that, because there two different things I want to talk about. The fact that young people are not exposed to that at all. And then we're going to talk about why they're only 10% of real estate agents in the United States Black. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. I do want to adjust that number. It's actually less than that.
Wow.
I got to update that site. But the book is updated. It's actually 6% or less. So we're going to take it down even more. It's actually 6% of less of real estate agents declare themselves as being Black. That's the statistics from the U.S. Census data. So yes, that's 6%.
6%.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Just opportunities. I do think that's systemic racism. You know, when people are not having opportunities for certain jobs or certain careers through the years. You know, now there are things in place to help promote or increase the number of Black real estate agents and Black professionals. But we are so many years behind. It's going to take so many more years to get caught up, if ever, right? And that's very important because generally speaking, you know, when I talk about in the chapter, let's keep it real about real estate, a lot of times, you know, people hire people that they feel like looks like them, they feel most comfortable with. You think about in schools when you were a teen, you would go sit with people who you felt comfortable with that looked like you, right? And so you have a lot of Black agents that may miss out on opportunities because we're not well represented, right? I believe it's around 12 or 11% of the population is Black. But then you have less than 6% of real estate agents that are Black. So those numbers don't even match when we talk about representation in this field, an important field that helps people to build wealth. So I do think that due to systemic racism, I do think that exposure again, I even talk about this in my book, Ed. There's a chapter that says one key, the one key that locks many doors. And I start off talking about career day. I remember at career day, it was a teacher, it was a lawyer, it was a doctor, it was a firefighter, all these things, right? And generally, you have to go get some level of education, college education. I do not recall ever seeing a real estate agent at career day at school. Why not? Especially in these Black schools. Why not? Why was that not significant to bring a real estate agent that's many a times making more money than, and no dig at teachers, I'm a teacher, my mom's a teacher, but many a times have an opportunity to make even more money or money on the side while you are still being a teacher, while you're still being an officer or a firefighter or whatever your calling may be. So I do still think that there is power in exposure and education, in addition to the systemic racism and systems that are set back to hold the Black community back, right? Those closed doors or those barriers that are put in place. But we have a responsibility that when whom much is given, much is required. You're not put on just for you to stay on. You put on so you can put somebody else on. We have a responsibility to do that.
So let's talk about the history of real estate, and is that one of the chapters in your book? One of the
history of real estate, and that's actually one and the same with the chapter on Black home ownership matters. When we talk about the history of real estate in regards to race.
Let's go to chapter 3.
Chapter 3, we banned up the block now. We banned up the block. So we're talking about real estate investing 101. And so we talk about that, and we break down the different ways that you can invest in real estate. We talk about fix and flips. We talk about wholesaling. We talk about sellers financing. We talk about even the traditional ways of buying property, whether it's the buy and holds, the different exit strategies, which I just mentioned in regards to real estate. We talk about preparation to purchase real estate, getting your credit, the components of credit. We talk about that. We touch on that basis as well. We touch on whether you're buying it via cash or whether you're getting financing and the different types of financing. It is so much in this chapter. It's the longest chapter. We even have a design where we take you through the 12 steps to securing the keys, where we walk you step by step. Once you have secured the funding, how you secure the keys, where you're going to call your agent, a.k.a. Donna Rogers and my team at Our Legacy Realty. I have to put that plug in there, right?
Of course you do. That's why you're here.
I have to represent.
That's why you're here.
Okay. But we walk you through all the steps of home ownership that the students, whether young people, can memorize and go through that. And so we talk about all things real estate and the buying of the block real estate investing 101 class.
Whew, that's chapter 3. I don't even know how many chapters are there.
So it's 7 chapters, and then it's an intro. So it's 7 chapters. So I don't kill them too bad. It's less than 70 pages, so it's not too bad. And we got a lot of designs and different things of that nature to engage the students.
So okay, you know what? Let's talk about, are there any activities in the book to kind of engage the students, and what are some of those, or maybe 1 or 2 of, so parents that are listening and say, okay, I can do that with my kids.
So two things. I'm glad you asked that question. So I have a workbook that's coming out for the teens and their families to engage in hands-on activities and case studies. That workbook will be out April 4th in celebration of my birthday, so not too long from now. But there will be a workbook. But as far as this particular book, there are examples. And the examples, when you hear the names, those are all my nieces and nephews' names. But the final chapter, Ed, is Use Your Key, how to get started now. So again, it's never too late and never too early to get started. So we give you some keys of how to get started now. So for an example, one key I already mentioned before is having the adults to engage their youth in the home buying process from the beginning. When you're on the phone with that lender, put it on speakerphone and have your young person sit there. This is not adult business on this level. This is family business, okay? Get them involved in that process in some form, shape, or fashion in the beginning so they can have an understanding of what's going on. That's exposing them. And they may not understand everything, but I promise you, it would change their mindset, because one of the chapters talk about, it's about an ownership mindset. Building wealth starts in the mind first, mind over matter. I did not know how I was going to buy a property. My parents did not buy me my first property. They did not give me down payment for my first property. That was my hard work. But they gave me something much more important. They gave me a mindset, a mentality to say, I'm going to own some property. I don't know what else I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to own me some property, right? And so that last chapter talks about the parent or the adult, the guardian, getting that young person involved. It talks about setting up a savings account, whether it's your allowance, your Christmas money, your birthday money, where the parent starts helping the teen to learn the importance of saving and discipline and taking care of your needs before your wants. Another one I'll give away is even internships and volunteer opportunities. So our young people, they have to volunteer somewhere to get those volunteer hours, right? Sign up at a real estate office or a real estate association, if it has to be a non-for-profit, and get involved, get that exposure. I get a lot of people, and I'm sure other professionals do, and say, can you mentor me? Hey, come volunteer. Instead of saying, hey, what can I take? Come and say, hey, I would love to come help you with your filing systems, or help you clean up around the office, or help wherever you need. You get what I'm saying? So you can watch from afar off. So those are just a few of the keys, but I'm not going to give them all away. But that's just a few of how you can get started now.
Now, here's where I think the problem may come in. Okay. when you do have those families that say, you know what, that is adult business. That's mommy and daddy's business. You're gonna have a lot of black households. Actually, all households, whatever race it is, you have some families that just do not share a family business with kids. They just don't. And so what do you say to those parents? You know what I mean? Like, you know, do I share this? What amount of sharing is appropriate to share with kids? I guess that would be my question.
The typical kid doesn't understand credit, right? The typical kid understands if mommy and daddy don't have enough money a lot of times, because it'll show up in, we have food or clothes, or we're able to do certain things that other people can and cannot do. Even if it's not as detailed of, okay, we only have $200 to pay this bill versus that. There is some level of teaching that we can involve a young person in to talk about solutions to the problem, or what we can do, or what mommy and daddy is going to do to solve this problem. There is always some level and opportunity to teach our young people, right? And I want to say this just as a segue. I do free real estate investing classes for adults. Why do I do that? I don't ask you to sign up for no master class or anything like that. I'm not against it, but that's not what it's for me. Because I understand, in order to empower a young person, that I have to empower those adults that are around them, right? And so those classes are free to help shift the mindset of the entire family, Ed. And so I always tell people, check out my Facebook pages, Instagram pages, Real to Donna JR. You can find me whenever you see me post, hey, I got free classes. But I literally do those 2-hour free classes for that reason, so we can help shift the mindsets of the adults. Because we give away generational curses as we give away generational blessings and generational mentalities. My mama thought like this, so I think like this. But we want to shift the thinking when it comes to building generational wealth. Because when we look statistically, even a college degree, a black person with a college degree, and then you have a white person who doesn't have a college degree, that white person is still more likely to have and own real estate because they are exposed and taught about it at an early age. And so it makes a world of difference. Most people, even with a college degree, may not be exposed to real estate unless somebody put it in front of you. But even if mommy and daddy don't have those conversations, if we happen to have a young person, it is so much free stuff on YouTube nowadays, it's ridiculous. It is too much free stuff out there for everyone to get exposed. And we're going to be doing some free stuff on YouTube soon. But it's too much free stuff out there for anyone in this season in life during this pandemic to say, I couldn't get that information. It's just too available.
Okay. So we're going to give away one, man. These answers, just, I could talk to you about an hour and a half about this, but I only have 50 minutes. So, so I got one more book to give away. And we have Donna Rogers, author of Who Got the Keys, Building Generational Wealth Through Real Estate for Teens. Now, this is for teens, guys. So you can call in at 708-223-8953, and we're going to give away that signed autograph book. So, Donna, there's a special part of the show that I do every week. Okay. Now, it's called Know Your Guest. Now, I always got to mention my father because he's always listening. Willie Beavers. You know what? I'm gonna have Mr. Willie call in one day. He's gonna be surprised. I'm gonna just call him at home and say, "Daddy, you've been listening every week. I got this part of the show named after you." So Donna, here we go. First question. Know your guess. If I could spell Obama right, that'll be even better. Oprah or Michelle?
Oprah or Michelle? It would be Michelle for me.
Michelle for you? Okay. Here we go. This is one of my favorite right here, right?
Notorious. Now, why you gonna do me like that? Why you gonna do me like that? Why you starting doing me like that?
Wait, hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Okay.
Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Charmaine from Atlanta.
Hi, Charmaine.
Hi, Charmaine.
Hi, Ed. Hi, Donna.
So you are my second winner. You got.
Yay.
She got the
Look at me.
keys.
I got my hands.
I'm in for my cousin. She turned 17 today, so I figured this would be a good push for her.
Happy birthday! Yes.
Thanks,
That's what we
Charmaine.
talking about.
So I am gonna. Charmaine actually happen to be one of my friend and clients, so I already have your information, Charmaine. I'm gonna get that book and send it out to you so you can give it to your cousin.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Charmaine.
Thank you.
Bye. See, you never know. Okay.
Beautiful birthday gift. That's the best birthday gift ever. And just because it's her birthday, send me her email. So you guys, when you purchase this book, which you can purchase it at www.whogotthekeys.com, you get free ebooks. I got an ebook called Affirmations for Building Generational Wealth.
Really?
Teens and Money. Yes. So when you purchase the book, you get some free ebooks. When you purchase the book and pre-order the workbook, you get even more ebooks. It's all about real estate, business, and generational wealth. And so because it's this young lady's birthday, be sure to send me the parents' email, and I'll send her over some free ebooks as well.
Okay. So getting back to the real business.
See, I was trying to avoid this question.
Notorious Big or Tupac. And we took care of to the real business. Now we're going to the fun business. I gotta hear it. Which one?
Okay, so
East Coast, West Coast.
I'm just meddling out, and I'm just on some deep stuff. It's Tupac all day, right? Not to say he don't got no club jams. I'm not a clubber, but I love to dance. But if I'm just trying to kick it, dance, I gotta go with Biggie. So it just depends on the day and the mood. It just depends.
Cool. Okay. So Donna, I gotta bring this. I could talk to you for an hour and a half about this stuff. And we didn't even touch. We didn't even touch, all the things that we could talk about. All right.
It's so much, yes.
And I would love to bring you on back after you've done all your book reviews, all the virtual. I've been looking at your website. You got a bunch of stuff going on. And
I appreciate it.
I would like you to put in our chat, put all your information there so that the audience can actually see it on Facebook. So thank you for I know it was last minute, but you came through for me, and I really want to thank you for that.
And I just want to say thank you again for having me. You all purchased this book, whogotthekeys.com, but I want to invite everyone to join me this Thursday at 7 p.m. It'll be live. We're doing a live virtual book launch. I got me a host from Kyle from WGCI-FM. He'll be joining and hosting. I got some teens and their parents playing some real estate games. I'm not going to give it all away, but register for the virtual book launch this Thursday. It's just 1 hour. You can go to www.whogotthekeys.com to sign up. I only have 100 slots, and we are already filling up. So sign up for this virtual launch on Thursday, and we have so many more and so much more to give away and share with you all. So thank you again, Ed, for having me. It definitely has been a blessing. Thank you.
I see you later, Donna. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you, Ed.
All right.
Who got the keys? Who got the keys?
So I want to say you have been listening to Ed Talk, where we talk about all things financial, and we were speaking with Donna Rogers and Who Got the Keys. And as always, I want to say thank you and good night.
tripping out.